The following is a Hoop Ball presentation. Welcome to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast.
Hello and welcome to Fantasy NBA Today for July 18th, 2019. My name is Nero Chelani. I am in for Dan Baspers every Thursday, and today I have with me Josh Millman. Josh, how you doing this morning?
Dude, good to be back again.
Actually,
I'm doing well. It's not even the morning anymore.
I know. It's afternoon where you are.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Yes. And thank you for being so flexible with my lack of planning on getting you on the show.
I need to just tell the listeners. I'm going to be brutally honest here. I'll get calls from Neil 10 minutes before he wants to record. You're like, "Hey, Josh, you want to record?" And most of the time, I'm like, "Yeah, of course you do." But I'm like, dude, can you maybe not tell me 5 minutes before you're going to hit the record button? I can have a little bit of time to prep and whatnot.
Josh, I'm just freestyling out here. I'm like a surfer. I'm just riding the waves of life. I can't plan everything.
We all are.
Yeah.
Hey, not all of us can be planners. We need that yin and yang. I like it. That's cool.
All right. So thank you again for your willingness to step up at the last minute.
No problem. All
right. So let me start off with the stuff I need to get out of the way. I shouldn't say that, but Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee is our sponsor.
No. The Hawaiian Isles is great. Don't just toss them to the side. What's the matter with you?
All right. Why don't you do the promo then?
No. I don't have a script in front. Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee. This is a brazen live read. Guys, we love Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee. Fantasy NBA Today is sponsored by Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee. Definitely check them out. I've got a bunch of them at home. It's great stuff, and I use them as my DFS trophies. Longtime sponsor of the show. We appreciate them, and check them out for all of your coffee needs. How was that? Did I do good?
You did fantastic.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah. I'm worried you might take over my Thursday slot. All right. Well, let's get right to it. So on Monday of this week, ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, came out with their fantasy rankings for 2019-20 basketball season. They did a points league rankings, and they did a rotisserie league rankings. And I don't know who really does points league rankings, but the fact they did one makes me think that must be climbing in popularity. But anyway, I'm only really familiar with rotisserie leagues primarily and head-to-head secondarily. I know you're more of a head-to-head guy, Josh, so these rankings might be a little distorted for you. But
but look, I mean, some roto and head-to-head, just when you're dealing with A-cat, non-cat, they still kind of blend in some regards. Mm-hmm. There's definitely a little bit of a difference with regards to the team building, but at the same time, it's you're still looking at categories all the same. So
before we get into the rankings, that makes a good point because they are very similar. But there's one thing that I do in head to head that I don't do in roto, and is that I'm okay with punting a category in head to head. Are you? Do you do? No, I don't go out to punt, but I will punt as my team kind of starts to develop throughout the season.
Yeah, I tend not to be. I tend not to do punt strategies. But if I see that during the season, if I'm deficient in one area, then maybe I'll adopt it as the season goes on. But I don't draft to punt. Usually I try to draft a well-rounded team. And then as injuries happen or as just play happens, I'll try to adapt accordingly.
Yeah. Okay. Because that does change your rank. Because I do have a do not draft list in my rotation.
Already? Awesome.
No. But I mean, when I go into my draft.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, because of guys with really bad percentages, I just don't want to kill myself in those categories. So
I was going to say, Neil has all of his. It's July 18th, and Neil has every single player projection already. I'm like, no,
impressive. I've got to start doing win totals with Dan next week. So I've got to beat him. In win total, so I got to put all my thought into that.
I actually I said this off air. I've never really done win totals. Obviously, I can weigh in, but I if you guys are going head to head, I may want to join you. I would totally do that. Yeah, it sounds fun.
Yeah, and win totals, oddly enough, are not that I wouldn't say they're easy to beat, but they're easier than other format in terms of
Sure.
betting because not many people do them, and a lot of it's based on this perception of teams rather than
Right.
actual talent. So, all right, that's a whole different conversation for a different.
Well,
podcast.
we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll
yeah.
get there. All right, all right. So we're gonna set this up again. ESPN's top 50 fantasy basketball rankings came out on Monday. Let's just. This is what I thought. We'd go through maybe the top ones to begin with for sure, and then we could pick out ones maybe that if we think are just a little bit way off in our opinion.
Sure.
Just based on first glance. Obviously, I haven't done projections this year. I gave you 3 minutes to prepare, so I don't think you've done that much. All right. Number 1 for ESPN, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I butchered that. But
Sorry.
what do you think about that?
I don't, we're going to have to see if in either training camp or anything like that there's any sort of evidence that he's worked on the 3-point shot. If he has, I kind of don't have a problem with that. But at the same time, I think that there might be some mitigating concerns about, just knees and do they, being that they flamed out in the playoffs to Toronto, do they try to rest him a little bit more than they did last year? I don't think he's a clear-cut number one by any means. And to be honest, I don't think any of them are clear-cut number ones. But I definitely buy Giannis as a top 4 overall pick.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Although his second sort of detriment is his free throw percentage with his volume.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a killer, but it's with that high of volume and that much below average. It's hard to win, or at least be in the top part of your rotisserie drafts with rotisserie category of free throw percentage with him on your team. So I don't think I would take him as one. I think there are better options, but like you said, I think he could end up there. It's possible.
Right. I mean, again, a 3-point shot might help mitigate that. But yeah, I agree. With free throws still a category, and you got to pay attention to that.
And I'm looking here on the article. I don't see if they mention whether it's 8 category or 9 category leagues. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see it either. I mean, we can discuss for either one, I would imagine, and just factor in turnovers as the conversation progresses, I suppose.
Right. I'm just trying to think what ESPN was trying to put together.
I mean, point guards in that case, if we're talking 8 cat, then I mean, point guards are going to get this almost feels like it's 9 cat because I'm looking at the rankings and point guards are like just completely shoved down the list.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Harden would be 4 in an 8 category.
No, yeah. That seems crazy.
Right. So I'm assuming this is 9 category league.
Yeah.
Rankings as well. Okay. Do you want to lead us off for the second one? Yeah.
Well, the second one's Steph Curry.
Yes.
So, which again, and I have no issue with. Again, the question is how much rest will Golden State build in? I don't think that everyone just assumes, well, with Thompson hurt and Durant gone, that they're going to have to rely on Steph Curry to play. And yeah, he's going to have massive per game stats. But I don't know that we're going to see 80 something games from Steph. He kind of almost got to that number in 16-17, but he missed a bunch of time a couple years ago. He only played in 69 games last year. I don't think that Golden State is completely out of a playoff position, even with the retooling out of the West. But I don't foresee an 80-game schedule for Steph Curry, which is really the only caution that I have.
Yeah, so this gets into a very interesting question between league types of head-to-head and rotisserie because March games played matter infinitely more in head-to-head than rotisserie. So when you're drafting like your first round, are you thinking about guys who might rest in March?
Yeah.
So
I think it's a real possibility, but the league now is just like the days there are so few guys that play the full season, which is why there's kind of especially in head to head with James Harden, Karl Anthony Towns.
mhm.
You have to literally drag their corpses off the floor, to not get them to play and produce at a high level. And there's value to that. You can survive, in daily head-to-heads, but when you're setting weekly lineups, that's a lot harder to navigate because you don't find out until the day before if guys are resting, and then you have to factor in back-to-backs and all that. I don't think that there's, for some of the top guys, I don't think that there's that much of a risk of resting, only because the league will probably be a lot closer in terms of standings now. I think that, and there might be more jockeying of position, and we can get into this with the win total conversation, but I mean, 1 through, I don't know, 5 or 6 maybe out west is pretty open.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I mean, as far as, let's go back to the Steph Curry example, he's not going to be able to rest down the stretch, and they get the top.
A game or two tops. But he's not going to be able to rest like multiple games down the stretch of the season to build him up for April.
Yeah, exactly, because they may not make the playoffs if that's the case.
Yeah.
So you're right. I think he's much safer this year than in years past because of that factor. I'm leaning towards, in an 8-category leagues, I'm leaning towards either Steph or Harden number 1. So I'm still thinking about that.
In 8-cat, yes. In 9-cat, my number 1 guy is the number 3 guy on ESPN leagues, and it's Anthony Davis.
That's a great segue.
Yeah, that's my number 1 guy.
Anthony Davis. Are you worried at all about injury? So you're not worried about injuries, then?
I think Anthony. Look, again, I'm a little bit contradicting myself, but not really. But I can't, other than Harden, I can't expect a lot of these guys to play more than 70 to 75 games, and that's really the optimal scenario. I think when it comes down, to me, it's either Harden or Anthony Davis as my top choice, followed closely by Steph Curry. But I'm right now leaning towards Anthony Davis because when you think about it, he pretty much rested for half of a season last year. So there's really, there's always injury concern with Anthony Davis, but I think he is probably as motivated as he's ever been in his entire career. I think all the drama is now probably behind him. And he's playing with LeBron James, which means he's going to get so many easy looks. So I think point LeBron is just going to get him the ball in every enviable situation possible. And the defensive stats are there. Solid free throw shooter, great percentages, can knock down 3-pointers. Anthony Davis, when he's healthy, is far and away the number 1 per game guy there is. And I think few can compare in that category. And now I think there might be some real legitimate motivation. I think he's just primed for an absolute monster year. That's just me. Yeah.
No, I'm totally with you. Dan and I were talking about MVP candidates, and he's one of my top MVP candidates for next year.
Yeah.
The risk is this going to be the injury, but you're right. I think he is going to play as hard as he's ever played with still, I think, the best player in the game. And he's going to have so much love in that arena.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to be winning. They're going to be among the best teams in the league. So I think he's going to have a monster season.
Yeah, totally.
All right. We can where do you think the cutoff is here? Or is there anyone here in the top? Well, let's just walk through this. James Harden is 4 here in ESPN.
Yeah.
Embiid 5, Towns 6.
I have a problem with Embiid at 5. I think he is also going to be a statistical monster. What I don't love about Embiid is that like he's not really like for a center. I gotta look this up. I feel like he was a below 50% shooter, even as a center, which to me is a bit of an it. Yeah, he was 48.5 last year, and I think that's been kind of the norm. And with the absence of Jimmy Butler and JJ Redick, there might have to be the possibility that Philly needs him to shoot the three a little bit more, which is fine and good. He's capable of doing that, but he's not as good of a shooter from deep as opposed to, say Josh Richardson, who's there. But I think that they're going to depend on him for the long ball. I just don't. I worry that that will keep hindering his percentages, and at the same time, the games and the injuries. It's that it's still the same thing with him. So you can't expect Embiid to play more than 60-something games, also, and that is really tough for me to swallow at number 5 overall. Where number 6 is Karl Anthony Towns, and it's pretty much a given with Karl Anthony Towns. He's playing a full schedule.
Yeah, that's the only. I totally agree with Embiid. I mean, look at the top 7 players on this list, and Jokic is 7th. He's the one that is most likely to play the fewest games. If you had to put a number on who's going to play the fewest games of the top 7, it would be Embiid.
It's Embiid, without question.
Right, so that's why. On a per-game basis, he's a monster. I think I might actually take him at 7. I'm not sure. Where do you think – we and I were talking about tiers before – we before we started recording. Do you think the tiers after? Well, you put Towns 5, then is that what
I put Towns at 5? Towns to me is a safe high floor. I think Towns' ceiling is 5, and I think his floor is 5.
You don't think
like legitimately, like I like if you draft Karl Anthony Towns at number 5, you are going to get the top 5, like a top 5 player, and that's it. And I think he is who he is. I don't think that Minnesota team is particularly good. But he's going to be, he's a great player and he's going to deliver for you. But I don't think that you're ever going to see the kind of Anthony Davis type outbursts, that can help carry you to victories, like particularly in head-to-head games.
I agree. So just to recap, the top 5 tier 1 guys, Giannis. So all these guys are in your first tier, and you think they're kind of interchangeable. Giannis, Steph, AD, Harden, and Towns.
Yeah. With the exception of Towns not being interchangeable, I think Towns is at the bottom of that list.
Interesting. So then the top 4 interchangeable.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think I would have 2 tiers among those 5.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I might. I'm gonna put Giannis. I might replace Giannis with Towns with you.
Really?
Put Giannis at 5 and put the other 4 and put the top 3 Curry, Davis, and Harden.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, and then
you actually legitimately tier those guys.
Yeah, because I don't want to. I will tier those guys. Yeah, Giannis is in a tier below those top 3 for me.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I put maybe Giannis and Towns in the second tier.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. I don't know. Are we in the league together this year? I don't know if we were in a league together.
Well, no, I forget when we did the hoop ball leagues. No, I don't think we were.
Okay,
I was in Panda's league.
How'd you finish?
I was out of the playoffs, because my team fell apart at exactly the same time.
Okay, I was just wondering if we're going to get paired up this year. We'll see.
We might,
and then it'll be interesting.
And then you can talk smack to me when you destroy me because of your so precise tiers.
All right, so that's the top 5. Oh, then Embiid, where would you put him? Where would you put Embiid?
In relationship to this ESPN list, I mean, he's not 5, but I would have him, I think, top 10. I think I'd have him at maybe, let's just say 8 or 9 right now.
Okay.
I think there's no question the per game, ability is there. Team building aside, this is actually a really great question, at least in my mind, because that guys aren't going to play every game. Now, Who would you rather draft, Joel Embiid or Kawhi Leonard?
Oh gosh, I'd probably go Embiid.
Really? See,
I don't know though,
this
because
is a bit of a paradox because
I know for sure Kawhi's going to rest. I know 100% Kawhi's going to rest.
so
There's an 80% chance Embiid's going to rest a lot. There's 100%. I don't know.
So Kawhi Leonard was the number 7 player on a per game basis. Joel Embiid, number 10.
All right. So after, so they have Embiid, as we said, as 5, and then Kawhi is all the way down to 10. So let's go through the rest of their top 10. Towns here is 6, but he's in our top 5. And then Jokic is 7, Paul George 8, LeBron 9, and Kawhi, as mentioned, is 10. What are your thoughts on the back 10 here?
So I have a lot of, I guess, kind of qualms with this. Number one, we kind of touched this. And Embiid at 5 seems like a stretch to me because he doesn't provide the percentages at the center position. He's only like a 48% shooter, so that's a bit of an issue. And again, the games are an issue. He's likely going to miss time. And to me, if I'm looking at things on a per game basis, I'd much rather have Kawhi Leonard. And if I'm looking at center position, I'd probably rather have Towns or Jokic. So Embiid, I think, is kind of a latter part of the first round player for me for those reasons.
Interesting. So Jokic over Embiid.
I think so. I think Jokic over Embiid, sure.
Yeah, that one's a tough one for me. I think just because of games played, I'd probably go with Jokic as well.
But again, I a little contradicting of myself. But I think that I think Embiid's per game ability is through the roof. But I think Jokic's consistency and his ability to play 80 games will end up putting him above Embiid in my personal rankings.
Do we want to get to LeBron James now?
Let's do this. LeBron James has no business being number 9 overall in roto or head-to-head. None. His free throw percentage is absolutely terrible. He's also going to be a rest, and we have to now realize that he's an injury risk. That he's just at that point of his career. But the 60-something% free throw shooting is an albatross on him. And if you're going to draft LeBron James that early, then you have to go with a punt free throw shooting strategy. There's no other choice. I would absolutely not take LeBron James in the first round.
Yeah. So what about Paul George? 8. That's also kind of.
That's just dicey. I think that's one of those things where if you're drafting late, that's just pay attention to the news. If he misses a week or two, I can still swallow picking him at the end of the first round. If it kind of lingers on, then I may slide him back a little bit. But he's also on a per game basis. It's you have to really think that that he and Kawhi together are going to put up massive stats on that Clippers team. The potential's still there. I don't think you can slide him too far, but he's going to be a pretty big X factor in most people's in most drafts when we get around to it.
Yeah, he could be someone who wins your league or loses your league if he falls, because I tend to avoid risk in the first couple rounds, and I probably will avoid him just because of the shoulder.
But here's the thing, Neil. So I get you avoid risk, but looking at just early rankings like this, it's kind of crystallizing for me that if you end up picking towards the latter end of the first round, and even in rounds 2 to 3, 4 even, there's going to be more risk this year than there has been in many years that I can remember. There is going to be there are very few players that don't we already debated the top 4 and we're well, what if this, what if that? Whereas last year we were pretty much Anthony Davis, James Harden, done, boom, that's it. No risk there. There are so few guys that we're talking about risk with LeBron James, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard and all of his rest. And, now with Harden and Westbrook together, what happens out there and how do they, play together? New teams, new scenarios. There's going to be so much risk and so much variability in the latter part of round 1, round 2, round 3 that we're going to get some wild results out of like early mock drafts, ADPs, and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the drop off does kind of happen after the first half of the first round.
Yeah,
I agree with you there. It's going to be really hard to see. To really predict, like how is Kawhi going to do in Clipperland? Probably that's relatively safe, but someone like, oh gosh, I don't know, like Kemba Walker in Boston.
Yeah,
that's going to be really hard to predict.
That's hard to predict. For me, I think Kemba Walker is kind of also a safe, high floor, low ceiling guy towards the middle of the back of round 2.
Yeah, so let's just go through 11 through 20. I'm going to read these off, and then afterwards, I want you to tell me who jumps out at you, either positive or negative. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Lillard 11, Bradley Beal 12, 13 Gobert, 14 Westbrook, 15. You can tell. We can tell who I.
We'll address Russell Westbrook later. Go ahead.
15 Vucevic, 16 Kemba Walker, 17 Blake Griffin out of Detroit, 18 Doncic. 19 Ben Simmons, and 20 Kyle Lowry.
I don't. Holy Moses!
I guess there's more than one that jumps out to you.
I want to play against anyone who's relying on these rankings. Let's just put it that way. First of all, Damian Lillard to me is a safe first round pick. Mm-hmm. I think he'd probably should be no lower than like 8 or 9, to me in rankings. But I mean, I guess 11's fine, whatever. But I think he's certainly better than LeBron James in roto and head-to-head formats. Bradley Beal to me is probably a first round pick this year. And because Washington's terrible. And when Wall went down, Bradley Beal played like a top 10 player, like for a good 2, almost 3 month stretch last year. And there were stretches where he was like, I think the top guy in fantasy. And Wall's probably going to miss the entire season. So I don't think that Washington is going to try to tank. I mean, there might be some risk towards the end of the year. But Beal doesn't seem like the kind of guy who wants to miss games. I think he wants to be, because he could have done that last year and he didn't. I think Beal is a first round pick to me.
I'm worried about him getting moved to some other team in the season.
Yeah.
That's my only concern. I think he is going to want to play every game.
If Washington pulls the trigger on a full-on reload.
Exactly.
Sure.
And then maybe he goes somewhere where he's not the first option anymore.
Yeah.
That's my only concern.
But like we said, there's risk everywhere.
There's risk everywhere. All right. So the one that jumps out to me is the Westbrook at 14.
And just real quick, I like Rudy Gobert this year. I thought Rudy Gobert was excellent last year. Played a full season. The free throw shooting is... Again, if you're drafting LeBron James, you're ranking him that high, then Rudy Gobert should be ranked at the high. They're both comparable free throw shooters, but the block shots are such a premium out of Rudy Gobert. He was great last year.
Yeah, he's a specialist and a little bit of a specialist. That's what makes me nervous taking him early. I like to take guys.
I know he doesn't shoot threes either, but do you think that adding Mike Conley to that team, that's a team that's going to be hungry for wins and really put, the pedal to the metal like during the regular season. Do you think Mike Conley helps him, on the offensive end?
Oh God, yes. Absolutely. So maybe he does score more. Maybe he does.
Yeah.
Maybe he works on his free throw percentage. We'll see.
Maybe.
Yeah. I guess so Westbrook, I think I would not draft in the top 2 rounds. with his free throw percentage.
No.
And his field goal percentage.
And the field goal, no.
No. And then turnovers. Well, let's assume this is a cat. We assumed it's non-cat. Excuse me.
Assuming not. Yeah, we got to assume this was non-cat. Yeah, right. And that's what it seems like.
So let's go to Vucevic. Do you think he can hold this value of 15? That's kind of interesting.
He was a top 11 per game guy and a top 10. I want to say, I think 15 is a fairly safe number for him because he can produce. He is generally healthy. That Magic team is largely the same. Yeah, they brought in some extra help, but I still think it's his team. I don't think he goes back and re-signs if they don't give him the assurances that this is his team. And Orlando was really good in the second half of last year. So I buy Vucevic as a top 15 player, but it's kind of like taking your medicine a little bit though. I wouldn't be thrilled about having him, but I buy it.
I think I buy it too. I don't know if I would pull the trigger at 15, but I would take it maybe late second round.
But God, some of these names, man, I'm just like, what?
Oh yeah, that's a little point guard here thing. So Kemba Walker 16,
which guess
I know, but later in the draft you have Lowry at 20. You've got Kyrie at 23 and Drew Holiday at 24.
Kyrie at 20. First of all, Kyrie Irving was the number 9 per game overall player last year. And Brooklyn, it plays a high tempo, high octane offense that emphasizes the 3-point shots, and they wanted Kyrie Irving because of his ability to also get to the basket. He has no business being 23 on ESPN's ranking because Brooklyn's going to have to rely on him. And it's not as if there isn't people say his other players are on that team are a downgrade from what he had in Boston, but they're still plenty competent in Brooklyn. Joe Harris was the best 3-point shooter in the league last year. Spencer Dinwiddie can play alongside of him. Karis LeVert was outstanding before he got hurt, and he can absolutely be a secondary scorer to Kyrie Irving. Jared Allen, we loved in fantasy circles last year. Taurean Prince was a favorite of ours when he was on those Atlanta teams. There's a lot of talent on that team. I don't see any reason why we need to downgrade him just because Brooklyn as a team might be a little bit less so than Boston as a team. That seems ridiculous to me.
Yeah, I would take Kyrie above all these point guards, and maybe
absolutely.
I would maybe put him closer to Lillard than anyone else.
For sure. We like him better than Westbrook, clearly.
Yeah, that seems.
I would take Kyrie over Kemba Walker. Mm-hmm. Definitely over Doncic. Mm-hmm. Definitely over Simmons. Definitely over Lowry.
Yeah, I agree. I would take him at the end of the first round, beginning of the second.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm with you.
He's one of the least risky players, I think, on
here. I think so. I mean, look, could injuries happen? Sure, and he deals with knee problems too. He only played in 67 games last year. But again, he was the number 9 per game player on a completely dysfunctional Boston team. That's, I'm fine. I really think that he's going to have a great season, and hopefully he gets you somewhere close to 70 games. And Brooklyn's the type of team that they want to play their guys, where every game kind of matter to them. And Brooklyn's going to have to claw for wins. They're not in that elite category of, say, Philly and Milwaukee. And even with, Kawhi leaving Toronto's still going to be really good. They were 17-5 without Kawhi Leonard last year. So it's not and they still have Marc Gasol there. So it's not as if they're going away either. Mm-hmm. So Brooklyn's going to have to claw for wins in order to get to the top half of the conference.
Yeah, and I think he's going to play, like I said, new environment. He's probably energized. He was not happy in Boston, and clearly they want him there. So I think at least the honeymoon will last at least a season. All right. Do you have time to go? I'm sorry. So I know we've kind of had some recording issues. I should say I had some recording issues. So
don't love me for that.
Do you have time to go through 20 through 30? And then make some comments, or do you have to get going?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so
what else do I have to do?
I don't know. Oh, let me just mention really quick. So Ben Simmons in 19. I don't agree with that either. That's the other one that jumps out.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I don't either. Again, maybe he develops a 3-point shot. Listen, we rag on Ben Simmons because of the 3-point shot and how exposed he gets, in real basketball, and it matters for fantasy too. I think that you can't, at his position and his draft capital, short of it being a center, like who you're not going to get 3-point shots from. I don't think you can risk having that from a guy like Ben Simmons and tank the free throw shooting as well. That's 2 categories gone, as well as turnovers for 9 cats. That's a hard pill for me to swallow.
Yeah, he's just, I don't understand what he's doing here at 19. I would not take him in the top 3 rounds. Okay, because I want to get through. I don't want to rush that. Just
sure.
Be dismissive, but I want to get you here for the next 10. So 21, Jimmy Butler. 22, Andre Drummond. 23, we mentioned Kyrie Irving. 24, Drew Holiday. 25, Larry Markkinen.
Wow.
26, Devin Booker. 27, DeAndre Ayton. 28, Donovan Mitchell. 29, LaMarcus Aldridge. And 30, Clint Capella. So outside of, let me just say, guys that did not make the top 30, Victor Oladipo.
Okay. Well, there's the injury is built into that. Like, chance, I saw something that he's probably not going to be ready until December, January. It's a 12-month injury. Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay, so never mind. Chris Paul.
Oh, God. I mean, I don't know, what's going to happen with Chris Paul, but I can't just, the games aren't there. The age is starting to show. The trade risk is there. OKC is going to want to play Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't trust that situation at all.
And then Draymond Green, 47th, way out to the top 30, which I find fascinating.
Yeah, I think he'll be solid. So much depends on his ability to shoot, really. We know that he can deliver the other categories, but there were times last year where he couldn't shoot the ball to save his life.
Yeah, well, those are the 3 outside the top 30 that really kind of.
Well, I'll tell you mine that really kind of stand out to me is Pascal Siakam.
They've got Pascal 42. Yeah.
42. I'm going to plant my flag and say he's a top 30 player next year.
I am with you because they need him a lot more.
They need him.
Yes.
And without Kawhi, I did a little quick math the other day. It was just because out of just sheer curiosity, Pascal Siakam, when Kawhi was resting or taking his siesta, he goes from a 17-7 player to a 20-8 player, and his percentages largely don't change. That feels like a big deal to me, and I think again he's supposed to be a guy that was, I mean, he's still ahead of the development curve, but there was still a development curve. I think he has more room to grow, and they're going to rely on him. And like you said, he played in almost every game last year. He's a guy that will likely show up nonstop for a Toronto team that is going to have to compete for wins, short of Masai Ujiri deciding to just blow it up. But he's going to be the guy there, and I'm very bullish on him.
I'm extremely bullish. I agree. I think he's going to finish in the top 30, around that range. And then, I forgot one more. Chris Middleton at 40.
Chris Middleton, yeah.
I'm shocked by that ranking as well.
He didn't have a great year last year. It's he could deliver that kind of value, but he struggled a lot last year.
I should probably.
He was on a per game basis. I forget where he was, but the fact that I have to search for him is not good. He was 64, and he was going at as a round 3 player last year. So maybe there's value built in, but he didn't shoot the ball particularly well last year. but this is kind of what my point was, is that we're picking out guys in, that ESPN has ranked, and you can say whatever about ESPN and their rankings, but we're saying Draymond Green, Pascal Siakam, potentially Chris Middleton. There is a massive variety of outcomes that can happen in rounds 2 through 5 that will end up making or breaking your season.
Yeah, that's what makes it so fun.
Yeah,
that's what makes the draft so fun.
More so than any, it's like wild. I almost feel like we can argue every one of these guys to death, and maybe we're right, maybe we're wrong, but some of these values just wildly fluctuate to me.
Anyone in the 21 through 30 range else you want to talk about? Like this Lauri Markkanen at 25?
I mean, you're a Chicago guy. If you want to talk about him, by all means. I'd prefer not to.
I don't see how he comes anywhere close to this. That
seems ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm missing. I'll have to go back and do some research because that is like a big.
I mean, 42 on a per game basis. I get it. I don't know, man. Zach LaVine always wants the ball in his hand. I know that Markkanen's capable. I don't know. A top 25 season seems an absolute best case scenario, everything breaking his way type of scenario.
Yeah, he's with guys that are going to also want the ball, like you said.
Yeah,
not just LaVine, but you're going to have Porter.
Otto Porter still there.
Yeah, and he's had a lot more usage since coming to Chicago. Wendell Carter will be back next season.
Who was hurt when yeah.
I don't see how he just gets that much usage to get there. But all right, Josh. My recording is still working, so
good.
And I'm not botched this second half.
Hey, miracles never cease.
Yes. Any other final comments? I'm sorry, we did not get to win totals. We talked about getting there, but because of some technical issues. Maybe we'll shelve that for another time. What I think, my only thoughts on win totals is, man, the NBA is going to be so wide open. It's good. Like even Vegas kind of sees it, and all the other, whatever your gambling preference is, whether it's the apps or just Vegas or in general, it's wide open. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams with potential win totals in the early 50s, mid to early 50s, and no one like anywhere as close to like the Warriors' heydays of like 60. A lot's going to happen, and so many others in like that mid 40 to upper 40 range. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, one day, maybe next time we'll break this down a little bit further, you and I, because I almost feel like I want to get in on your betting with Dan. Oh, we're not betting head to head. I'm just trying. I'm trying to beat him. That's all. It's just my.
You're trying to beat. Dan, now I want to beat you.
Dan is like Duke, and I am like the Division 1 AA team that gets to play like it's like my one shot to try to beat the King.
Okay, you know what? Duke doesn't.
He doesn't actually see me on the schedule. He doesn't actually notice me that I'm there. So
Duke has gotten knocked out in the first round plenty of times. You can be Lehigh. How about that, buddy? You be Lehigh.
All right, he is Josh Millman. What's the Twitter handle?
At Josh Millman.
At Josh Millman. How can I forget that? Yes, easy. I am at Ball with Neil. We are sponsored by the great Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company, hawaiianisles.com or amazon.com for all your coffee needs. Josh, hey, can I invite you back on next week right now? We're gonna put this in the calendar? Can we put this in the calendar for next
week? Yes, next week. Let's do it.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks for everyone for listening. Adrian and Coach will be on tomorrow. Not sure what they're going to talk about, but they will have something insightful to say. And then Josh and I will be back next Thursday. How about that? Talk to you guys then.
Enjoy later.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.